So, we're there, we're live. Detox Yoga is where we're going to start tonight. For those who are just joining us on their on the live feed. If you didn't know, live feeds take 30 seconds to actually come up. So all of a sudden, I start to see all these people scroll on, but it's 30 seconds after I've actually hit the play button. So there's actually a 30-second delay. So we will start sitting either cross-legged or we'll start with in the seated pose. If you don't like being in a seated pose, that's okay. Lay down for me. However, we will start in a cross-legged forward fold position regardless. So let's go. And we start with some breath work. And breath work is really just to get us centered and to get us focused, to bring us onto our mat. We'll let the hands come here and rest into the lap. When you're ready, allow the head to just gently tilt down, and we'll start to focus on bringing the breath very, very slowly in and out through the nose. Now we'll notice that this initially starts to slow each of our breaths down. And you might like to lengthen or draw out this breath from here on, which means taking a full breath, filling the lungs from the very base, from the very lower lobes of the lungs. And just notice how this breath fills all the way up to what we call the upper lobes of the lungs. There's 5 lobes in the lungs. And what that should also mean is that we get this expansiveness that comes to the chest. We get a little bit of a rise that also comes into your belly. We always notice that the breath is never rushed as well. So what this means is that the breath comes in slowly and steadily from start to finish. I also want to notice that at the end of each of the breaths, that there's no force or strain to the breathing. So we take that full breath in. There's still a softness around the neck, the throat, the face. And you might start to notice that with this slower breath comes a slower heartbeat. Breath also gives rise to a sense of calmness because the nervous system now begins to settle. And slow breath also means a slower mind too, so less busy in the mind. So full breath in, full breath out. Noticing now your inhalation and your exhalation, they're exactly the same length here. Perfect. Now let's keep the rhythm of the breath. When you're ready, ever so slowly, let the eyes begin to lightly open. Maybe move the fingers in your toes. And we're going to start from here now. If you were sitting on something or you were lying down, pop that off and out to the side with the legs crossed. Let's come into forward fold. So so let's just look into the hips here. All those forward fold actions where we hinge from the hips, is a really great form of detoxification as the body closes down in on itself. So forward fold, hinge at the hips, chest floats down towards the floor, and your head's nice and heavy here. So we tend to find that detoxification poses are usually forward folds or tend to be twists. And then the next breath out, we're going to walk around to the right. So keep low, but take yourself into a bit of a twist here. Chest softens onto the thigh. Still stay soft and relaxed with that neck. And what you want to watch here is that when you come around to the right, that your left bum doesn't leave that mat. It's quite easy for that to happen. It is something that's quite typical when we go into a rotation, that we lose, I guess, that contact onto the mat. So we want to really make sure that we're anchored down through those sit bones here. And then when you're ready, on the inhale, we're going to come up, but stay with that same twist. Left hand's got to go on the right knee. Your right hand's going to swing around behind your hip. A deeper twist for me here. So as we exhale, take yourself into a deeper tone. So breathe in, lift and lengthen. And then exhale. Left and right. It's always a challenge, isn't it? Doesn't matter. We always swing around to the other side. You always know that we'll meet at the other side. Good. And then as you inhale, we get to slowly unravel out of the twist. Let's change sides. So cross the other leg. We always change sides for the very reason that whichever leg is in front, that hip is slightly more dominant. That side gets a little bit more of a deeper stretch. So it won't matter what leg you had in front, but again, we're just going to go into that same forward fold, hinging at the hips, relax the head, and soften back in. Now you can also get yourself back onto these sit bones here by pressing the palms of your hands like forward towards the front of your mat. Feel how that sort of sits you right back onto those two sit bones. So whilst it's helping, obviously, press, and what that does is, as a result, it ensures that we've got some work going on into the stomach, the abdominals. We want to breathe out, twist around towards the left now. You might feel as we go round towards this left-hand side, there's this stretch that comes down through the right side of the body. So down near the kidneys, again, one of our purification and detoxification organs. So when we do things like here, we talk about the kidney meridians, liver meridians. And then on your inhale, we walk the hands in, and we're staying with this left hand twist. Right hand onto left knee, left hand behind. So remember, don't worry if you get wrong arms and wrong legs. You will eventually come around and catch up. If you feel you can go a little bit deeper with the twist, when you exhale, pull around a little bit more. I tend to say do that on your exhale because it's when the muscles are most soft and a little less grippy. And then as you inhale, let yourself very slowly unravel out of the twist. Your left leg will go long and your right foot's going to sneak in here into the inside of the right leg. We call this Janu Sharasana, or sometimes just call it Janu. Take an inhale, the arms will lift up. We're going to fold on the exhale. So my chest and my thigh are trying to come and meet each other here. My left chest comes to sit down on towards this left thigh. And your hands pull. They pull you down as though you're going to get in nice and close towards the thigh. So we always think here head to ankle as opposed to head to knee, because all that really means is that we've just rounded the spine. We always come forward in a straight spine, and we think the crown of the head's going to reach down towards this foot now. So we're lengthening down towards the leg. Your right hand will come to the outside of this left foot, and your left arm will go around behind your back, and you'll lift and you'll go into a twist here. Some people can catch the inside of this leg. It really doesn't matter. If you can, go for it. But it's not life-threatening if you don't. And when we inhale, let yourself very slowly come out of the twist. We're going to stay this long, short leg, but send the left leg off the mat a little. Okay, so it's going to look like almost like you're in a V. Your left arm gets to run down the inside of the left leg. Your right hand sits onto your ribs, and they turn that rib cage up towards the ceiling. Okay. So now we're going to go into a side bend. Your right arm comes up and over and comes in nice and snug into this left ear. So you want to reach out through that left arm. Keep pressing the right arm, I should say. Keep pressing the left arm into the inside of the leg. That's what gives you the side bend. And that long right arm, that's how you get this stretch down through your side rib cage for me. And that's where we're trying to open up. There's a little sort of squishy number happening down here on this left hand side. Take a breath in and you can come on up for me, nice and slow. Let's switch legs. Your right's your short leg, your left leg will be your long leg. Come on up, come on over, chest to thigh. So it's like a half cobblers pose on that left hand side, and then a hammy stretch on the right hand side on that straight leg. Again, use your hands to draw you down towards the thigh here. And inevitably, there's a couple of areas where you're going to feel this. Probably the back of the hamstring, so the back of that long right leg. Okay. Some people even feel it really strongly underneath the back of the knee. If you pull your toes back, you're going to feel it in your calf as well. And if the lumbar or the lower part of the back's a little bit stiff or tight, sometimes you will even feel it down through this lower part of the back. Your left hand will come to the outside as a pull. Yeah. Right arm releases, comes around your back, across your waist, and then you want to lift up here. So we're not pulling ourselves down the leg anymore. We're lifting up and away from the leg and turning around. Again, you have that option of catching the leg. Catch the inside maybe of that left leg. Coming on out as we inhale. Send that right leg off on a bit of a diagonal. Yep. Slip the left foot into the inside of the leg. Right arm runs along the inside of that right leg. Left hand sits on the ribs and it opens you around towards the ceiling. So again, keep pressing the arm in. Keep turning the body around. And then, if you feel like it, you can add that left arm. Sometimes the shoulders aren't overly happy, so that's why I always say if you don't want to add that long arm, you can leave it sitting on your ribs here. Breathing into the left side of the rib cage, so really focusing on getting that openness to the side of our body. Good. Take a breath in. We get to come on up. Awesome. Bring that right leg back in long. Now jump the left leg over the top of it. Use your right arm. You're going to hold that left leg up and into the body here. So lift up tall, lift up out of the hips. So right arm holds left leg. Yep. Left hand will go behind us. Okay, watch that you don't sink. Lift tall and twist all the way around to that left hand side. So we're going a little bit more twisting. It's like wringing out a sponge when we're wringing out a sponge. I'm trying to empty all the contents. That's exactly what happens. Here we detoxify the organs by wringing them out. When you inhale, very slowly allow yourself to come out. This is head of the cow. That right leg is going to slip in underneath. I'll turn around and face you guys. So the left leg sits on top. So we've got the right leg underneath it. Your right leg's going to swing out to your left. Your left leg's going to sit on top. Yeah. Now, sometimes when those hips are super tight, you might need a little extra help, e.g. a block, a towel, a blanket, yeah, or maybe next week. Maybe next week. Or you could sit cross-legged. So I know a lot of people who just sit here and say, you know what, it's just way too strong for me to do it. I'll just sit here cross-legged, and that's perfectly fine. All right. Once we allow ourselves to settle in here, okay, it does take a few breaths, and you do start to adapt to it. You might feel that it's okay to come slightly forward. Okay, that's going to make it a little stronger. You can feel it as you come into flexion, how it starts to pull a little bit more on the hip. So the leg that you have on top, if it is your left leg, is the side that you're going to feel it the strongest. It's going to be more blatantly obvious on the left side probably than it is on that right side. And when we inhale, we get to walk the hands in and the trunk will come and lift back up from here. Let's unfold the legs so that we can do the jump over onto the other side. So, no right, is it? Right leg over left. I'm going to lift and twist around towards this right hand side. Use that back hand to send you a little deeper into the twist. And then when you use the next breath in, you unravel. And I tend to sort of lean over onto my left hand side, and then I kick that right leg in underneath. And then we should be able to get the right leg down on top of the left leg. So into that head down this way. Again, prop up. And some sides are really different. They're not always the same. You know, man, that was a tough one on that side, and the other side's it's a little easier. So again, if you need a prop on one side but not on another, you do. You use it. But hips are notorious for being tight. Constantly tight, these hips. You want to use the inhale to walk the hands in and allow the trunk to come up with wide legs. So you can sit on your mat, whichever way feels comfortable. I'm just going to sit this way so that on my views can see this. But it's a wide V leg. This, when we talk about meridians of the body, this line here, I always say it's like your seam line, your pants, is the liver line. Okay, it's the liver line. So livers, we know, do a lot of detoxification. So that's why this is a really good stretch. If you want to come through the front, you can. This can take some breath to sort of, settle into it. The inner line of this leg, so we call these the adductors, when we talk about the muscle groups, these can get super tight. Yeah. And for some people, literally just opening their legs up and sort of allowing their hearts to sort of lead forward, it's like, that's plenty. So again, breathe your way through this one. And eventually we start to notice that we drop into it. The body starts to fold into it and start to relax into it a little bit more. We want to walk to the right this time around, so spin around, chest onto thigh. Glue that left sit bone down. Be conscious that we're not letting our left hip ride up. Okay. And you'll notice that if you really actively keep it pressed down, not only do you feel it in this right hamstring, but if you're a little bit tight down here on this lower back, on this left side, you might start to feel it there too. Come back to the center on the inhale. Keep walking all the way around to that left hand side. Do the same, chest to thigh. Anchor though down onto that right sit bone. So we don't flip up off that bottom. Walking back in on your inhale. And then hands coming nice and slowly. You work your way back up. Scoop your hands underneath the backs of your knees and slide the legs in. That'll stop you from straining the groin. And what we want to do here is working to a little bit of core work. So we get the belly working here. This is called Navasana, the boat pose. We'll layer, we'll work onto it slowly. But what you want to notice first of all is that it's always done with straight lines. So my back never collapses or rounds. It's a hinging action. So you're literally just pulling your chest away from your thighs. We're basically making more space between the chest and the thighs here. At this stage you can have as much hold onto the legs as you might need to. Let's glue those legs together a little bit more, so I want you to feel as though there's a magnets in between the two legs and they're being pulled inwards. Soften the shoulders a little bit more, lighten the grip if you can. Now you might fully let go, up to you. Okay. But if you do, you don't want to lose that, that beautiful long spine. Okay. So I always think to myself, I've always got like a big hook on my chest lifting me up here, but keep your neck and your throat soft. Slide the toes in along the floor. So these are all little layers. If I get you to a point where you know what, I'm done, that's where you want to stay for me. And if you can take the feet off, go for it. Otherwise, definitely leave those little tippy toes on the floor here. Again, watch that you don't start rounding and collapsing the spine. So lift from that sternum, bring the hands into the chest or in towards the heart center, and we twist into this one. Hold it on that side for me. And it's almost like this little elbow and knee are pressing into one another, like you would if you're in an easy chair. Come back to the center, breathe it in. Hook it over the other side, right elbows coming over to the outside of the left leg. Once again, can those 2 points work into each other? Okay, come back on the inhale. Keep twisting, we'll go one more each side. Elbow over knee, press into one another, glue the inner legs together. Here's our last side, up and over. We've got right elbow towards this left leg now. Come on the inhale back. Lower the feet down towards the floor. Swing those legs around. I'm going to take us into child's pose now. A little bit of a different one. Take my layers off here. I want you to get your hands into like a little fist, into like a little knuckly system, because the hands are going to go into the belly. And then when we roll over into child's, the hands, all these little mini fists, compress into the intestines. And it's used as a, it comes actually from that Zentai training I did when I was in Bali. And it's one of the therapeutics, one of the yoga therapeutics that they use to stimulate activity in the colon. And then when you inhale, it's very, very slowly come back up. Hands underneath shoulders, widen those knees. They need to be hip distance apart from here. Tuck the toes under, lift up and press back. We're going to find ourselves into down facing dog. So we talk about that alignment, the alignment of the hands, so they sit in line with the shoulders, and the feet, they sit in line with the hips. And like we did in our forward fold, and we pressed our hands forward, we do the same here in down dog. Notice that when you push the hands forward, it sits you back into your heels more. It gets you back into those hamstrings a little bit more. And it also gets you out of the arms. So hips go high, heels go low, head softens between the two arms. Now you can definitely do this one on your knees if you feel that the upper body may not necessarily be strong enough to support you with one hand, but we'll twist into down dog. Your right hand comes to the outside of your left leg. So if you did it on your knees, you drop and you give me that same little twist. So right arm sneaks underneath, goes to the outside of the left leg. Okay, so there's this twist and we're looking underneath the left armpit here. Both hands go back onto the mat and we do the same twist. Your left hand comes to the outside of your right leg. So some people will literally be able to hold on to the calf and tuck under a little bit more. Or if you're on your knees, that won't be possible, but you certainly will be able to get yourself into a bit of a twist. Down dog with a twist. Good. Place the two hands back onto the floor as you would for normal down facing dog. Just again, check out you're back into all those alignments. The left leg goes straight back behind into three-legged down dog. And the left hip points down to the floor. Okay, so we don't open the hip up at this stage. Breathe out, bring the left knee to the chest. Check out where your hands are. You're going to step there into what we call a low lunge. Low lunge, hips are low. So low lunge means that the hips are a little bit lower than the knee. This is so that we can get into those hip flexors, so we can start to stretch out through this front joint here. Plant that back right foot, it's going to go flat. Send your left hand onto the inside of the leg. Open your right arm up slowly towards the ceiling. So let's say your hand doesn't go onto the floor. Bring it on a block. So if you've got a block, use it as opposed to trying to strain the neck and the shoulders. And then we're going to go a little bit deeper into this twist. Let your left hand and right palm get those guys together, and we'll go a little bit deeper. Press the left elbow into the leg and go deeper into this spine twist. Yeah, that's good. Release the left hand back down to the floor, the right arm goes to the roof. Slowly straighten the left leg, that's going to send us into a triangle pose. Keep squeezing this left heel into the center of the mat here. So triangle means a side bend. Bend back into the left knee, swing yourself around, lunge, warrior one. Your triangle fences that front edge of the mat, the little short edge of the mat. Those arms rise. Again, it's nice and low, so your hip and your knee, try and stay aligned here. Breathe out, let those hands slowly come to the heart center. When you're ready, lower the right knee gently down to the floor. Hook your right elbow over the left knee now. So this whole twisty action just found itself going the completely opposite way now. Now some people will feel strong enough in that back right leg to straighten it, but don't feel like you have to. Okay, so it's basically your side angle pose, but reversed. So you can definitely stay down on that back knee if need be. Ready, split the arms again. Your right hand can go down to the floor and your left arm goes up towards the ceiling. Again, pulling your blocks if you need it. This then continues into a reverse triangle. That front left leg straightens and we've gone back into this big, big, deep twist here. Breathe out, swing back around. You're in that lunge warrior one, back to the front arm. On the mat. Yeah, good, good, good. Breathe out, fold, take those hands down to the floor. We're going to straighten out the front left leg. If you're anything like me, I have to have my blocks for this. Or anything that you can, that helps, yeah. Otherwise, I find that I'll overload my hamstrings. That's just me. And when you've done it once or twice before, you don't really want to revisit it. Right, chest and thigh, drop, 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 a little bit more. Keep drawing that left hip back to the wall. And breathing, bend into the left knee. Spin your feet around to face the long right edge of your mat. Don't have to face them different ways. All you've got is your toes pointing forward to this front long edge. Again, we're going to tuck forward. Hands will go onto the floor. And if you think, you know what, I can't get my hands on the floor, but if I made my legs wider, it would, then widen your stance. Yeah, the wider your stance, the more likely your hands will get to the floor. We're going to turn our hands away from us. So turn your fingers to the other longer edge of your mat. So my hands are just on this sort of 180 turn. And bend the elbows and start to walk the hands back like you're tucking yourself underneath yourself. So your sort of head sort of getting tucked up underneath these legs. Send the sit bones back up in the air. You want to feel this in the hammies as well. Walk the hands back around so that they're facing this long right edge of the mat once again. Leave your left hand like bang smack in the middle of the mat and then open your right arm up to the ceiling. And then breathe in, right hand comes back down, it goes where your left was. It's a little bit like when we do our planks and we bring the hands into the middle of the mat, the left arm opens back up again. And breathe out, bring those two hands back onto the floor. We will return back to the front edge of the mat again, so we'll spin where we were before, bend back into the knee, curl back up to lunge warrior one. Okay, so we were there a couple of minutes ago. And bring your hands to your heart center. Now this is going to bring us into an easy chair, so you need to give this back leg a bit of a bend, like I sort of make it a bit bouncy, because I'm going to try and push off that guy to come and meet my front left foot. have a little seat whilst you're there. Easy chair. Let's glue the inner legs together. And you want to feel some power in the inner thighs and send your tailbone heavy. So this sits right down. So you always want to feel like your weight's in your heels. If your weight's in your toes, then your knees are probably over them, and it's going to kill your shins. Okay, so we want to have a nice deep spot. Butt sits out like it's sitting back into a chair. Spine's always straight. Palms pressed together and elbows sit about the same height as those wrists here. And we'll see if we can get a twist out of this one. Left elbow to right knee. Now the trick here is to twist from your thoracic. Okay? So if you've twisted from your hips, your knees are going to be like twisted on you because you let your pelvis twist. Try to always twist from your thoracic, from your rib cage. Good. Come back to the center, breathe it in. And then twist the other way, elbow over knee. You're going to drop into it like a nice big deep squat. Okay. Come back on the inhale. Let's get one more out each side. So hook the left elbow over the right knee. The deeper you sit in your chair, the harder your legs are going to work. Yeah? Back to center, inhale. Hook right elbow over the left knee. Come back to the center on the inhale, go higher up with your arms now. Reach those arms high. Hands come back to prayer. Keep your left foot on the floor. Take your right leg up and over, and you're going to find eagle pose for me here. So what happened here is the leg jumped up, over, and it does that second little hook if you can. Okay. If not, tap it to the floor. Yeah. Try the arms. So right round left. And bring the elbows up shoulder height. I'm going to call this the crunch eagle. So it means your elbow is going to slowly come down towards your thigh. Trying to keep your balance. And then breathing, come back up. Good, let's go one more. Elbow to knee. Come on up, inhale. Unravel, arms go straight. Exhale, fold forward. Heavy, heavy head. Oh, look at the knees, and give those legs a little bit of a break. Breathe in, bend the knees. Step your left leg back. Step your right leg back. And then it goes out of those legs for a moment. So back into your down facing dog. Find one plank as you breathe it in. Yeah. If you want a knees, pop it on down again. If you need a little break, slide down to the knees. We're going to lower this guy all the way down to the floor. So either via the knees or in one solid line. Stay here, interlock your fingers around behind your back. So that you've got this like little claspy thing happening. Bring the legs back together. We call this locust pose. The chest lifts away from the floor and your arms slide down past your bum. So this is called being in a prone position. We're in prone because we get to give the belly a little bit of a massage here. Lift the legs if you can for me as well. We've got legs in elevation, chest in elevation, hands reaching back down towards the heels. And breathe out lower, bring your hands back to your chest. Push up to knees as you breathe in. Send yourself back into down dog as you exhale. I'm going to lead off on that right leg now. So let's go. Right leg lifts. Inhale. That knee pop into the chest. Come and look at the hands. Step. This is your low lunge. Hips lower than the knee. Remember, if the legs want to come in by itself, give it a little shuffle-uffle. Yeah, here's your hand. Shuffle it up through the front. What's the most important thing about this pose? Knee stacks over the ankle. Okay. And then, obviously, nice low hip profile to stretch out those hip flexors and press back and away with your left heel. Pivot on the back foot, plant it. Side angle pose brings this right hand on the inside of the leg, allowing the left arm to slowly unfold here. Opening it up into side angle pose. Then bring your two hands to prayer. Here we get to wedge that right elbow a little bit further into the legs to get more into our twist here. And as we release the right hand back down to the floor, straighten the right leg. This becomes your triangle pose.
squeeze this right heel into the center of the mat. That stops the hips from doing this little swing out number, and it also stabilizes this leg when this femur into the hip socket. Really important. We bend back in to the right knee. We'll swing around to that lunge warrior one again. This is now facing that front part of the mat. When you're ready, bring your hands slowly down into the heart center. Lower the left knee. So you use those quads. Good. Left elbow hooks over the right knee. Use that second twist that we did. Alright, can we lift that back, left leg up? Press through the right. Straighten the left, and maybe if you want to, you get to split these arms. The left goes down, the right goes up. A reverse triangle means straightening out that front right leg. So press through the foot and add that twist here. Lots of twists and turns. Breathing, come back to that lunge warrior one. We're there, but the front part of that again. Good. Breathe out, bring your hands down to the floor, straighten the front right leg. This is that one where I say to you, you want to be super careful not to overstretch this guy. Right hip draws back to the wall behind us. Chest is always heavy. Chest to thigh, head to ankle. Alright, we need to walk these hands around towards the left so that we can face the long left edge of the mat. I'm going to switch myself around so I face this camera. You don't see my bum. Toes face forward. Get ready to walk behind. Head goes down. Arms to that little walk, and they tuck us all the way underneath here. Now you want to anchor your heels down into your mat, but you want to send your sit bones up towards the ceiling. That way you get to feel a little bit more into those hamstrings. Walk the hands back so they face that long edge of your mat. Bringing the right hand bang smack in the middle so that you can open the left arm up to the roof. You want to rotate the chest. You could use the breath out to close the left hand down, and on the breath in, the right arm opens up. Breathe out, both hands come back down. Let's go back and we'll face the front edge of our mat again. Where we started it all. Bend back into the knee. And when you're ready, let's press all the way back up into that lunge warrior one. So you really have to drive down to that right heel. Otherwise you don't have the power, because power comes from your bum, comes from your glutes. Bring your hands to heart. And remember that soft back left knee, because we need that power push, yeah? Get ready to step together. Squat, easy chair. Glue the legs, inner thighs, pull inwards. Yeah, keep the chest high. And we don't tuck. So there used to be these old fashioned sort of ruling of tuck your tail under. We don't tuck the tail under, we lengthen the tail down to the floor, like it's like a rod through our spine. It's just literally extending down that same angle. It's much safer. And we'll go to our twist, left elbow, right knee. Hook, 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 hook. Don't let those knees go. Yeah. So don't twist from the hips, twist from your thoracic, from your ribs. Center on your inhale. Other side, exhale, right elbow, hook over to that left knee. If your legs are killing you, straighten up a little bit more, yeah? Inhale, come back. We get to go one more on each side. Exhale, twist, 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 twist. Yeah. Come back on the inhale. And last side, exhale, left elbow. On the left side, sorry, on that. Inhale, come back into the center. Okay, so we've got that eagle. Right leg's our lead leg. Balance on it. Left comes off. It hooks over, it tucks around, yeah? If you've got something you want to hold on to, like a wall or something close by, go there. Keep drawing the shoulder blades apart. Keep your eyes super steady. And let's crunch it. Exhale, sit down. Inhale, come on. One more exhale, tip. Elbows, 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 go down. Inhale, come on up. Use your bum. Feet down, arms up. Exhale, fall forward. Okay, right leg, step it back. So I tell you what makes a huge difference with this, with those with the eagle. Come back to plank on your inhale, and you're gonna lower this guy down into wide knees, and then that locust, hands behind the bum. Lift the chest, lift the legs, feel the belly press into your mat. Good. Keep your breath steady. Watch you don't end up holding your breath here. A couple more breaths. Glue the heels in closer to each other. Good. And then ease back down. Hands next to the chest. Push up. Just come to child's from here. Roll your bum back. Chest to thighs. Bum to heels. And give yourself a little stretch into that lower part of the back. Inhale, slide the hands in, let the chest come lift up. When you're ready, let's go swim around on our backs. So, how you can keep yourself a little bit, let's go next to chest. A bit better balance than say eagle or any of those poses is you can step off your mat and go on, say, the floorboards or something of a more firm surface, because the softer your surface underneath your foot, the less stability you have. So I found that really hard tonight because I've got two mats, one on top of the other, so this double layer, super squishy. But if you have like a thinner mat, it'll be firmer. So there is some merits with a thinner mat. A little rock for me here, side to side, left to right, a little massage. It's nice to roll out that back. Now as the knees rest back into the centre, lengthen your left leg long and keep your right knee nice and tight into your belly. So just a nice sort of press going in. So again, you can see this is like an upside down version of that child's pose. So your chest and your thigh are making contact, and so therefore it's a really subtle press of the thigh onto your tummy. You'll use your left hand to come to that outside of your right leg, and you'll roll the knee across your body. So you'll go into a bit of a twist here where the knee rolls down towards the left edge of you, and if you want to look out to your right, you can rotate your head to look opposite to this knee. So these are all lying twists now. Detoxifying twists. Breathing in now, and then to come back to center. Roll the leg through, slide it long, and bring your left knee in to your chest. Press the back of your right thigh down. And now right hand now comes to the left knee, and it rolls the leg across to your right. Shoulders stay on the floor here. So that's what gives us this twist. We get to look out to our left now. Roll the head slowly back through. Let the knee come back in, two knees into your chest. This time going into a deep twist. Your two knees come down to the left edge of your mat. So both knees together, keeping it nice and tight to your tummy. Yeah. Use your left hand, it weights the top right knee down. Right shoulder rolls on the floor. When we do the same, we get to look over our right shoulder. Knees in tight, over to your right now. Right hand weights the knees down, left shoulder rolls back along. Getting the back of the left shoulder actively working down towards the floor. So these are quite deep twists. We use twists to flush out toxins from the body. Roll the head when your knees slowly back in and through. Take the weight off that top left leg, bringing your knees slowly back to centre. Place your feet flat onto the floor. Okay, these feet are going to sit hip distance apart. Let your arms come parallel to your sides. A couple of little pelvic curls here for me just to start us off. So exhale, tilt the pelvis back, peel the spine away. Hold it there, breathing. And come down slowly as you exhale. So nice and slow, vertebrae by vertebrae. Now I'm just going to use this to warm up the spine. Do 2 more, just in preparation for our next pose. And that next pose is going to be a plow. So we'll do 2 more curls. And we've got lots of variations, got lots of options here. One last one. So pelvic curling, articulation of the spine. We could keep going with that, or we could change it to some variations of plow. Not everyone loves plow, I get that. You could, if you had a bolster or you had some blocks, you could do this, you do plow with just taking the legs over a little bit, or even holding onto the legs. Okay. So that's like, say, 3/4 of going into plow. If you think, you know what, I want to go all the way into plow, then give yourself room, because you're going to need it behind you, and you want to hold the back of the pelvis when you do this, particularly for your first one. Okay, now, yeah, we're at the end of class, and the back of the body is pretty loose. We are at the end of the night, so the body's quite warm, but I always like to hold at the back of the pelvis to start off with. So choose whichever one you want to go with, and what you want to make sure of here, though, is that the body feels like it's being supported in whatever capacity that you've chosen to move into your plow pose. 2, you want to make sure that the legs, regardless of where you are straight, because bent legs won't give you the hamstring stretch. Okay, that is synonymous with this kind of pose. Why are we doing a variation of plow? Or why are we choosing to do plow or pelvic curling? Because we get to stimulate the thyroid gland. Thyroid glands to either side of this neck and throat. Thyroid gland is responsible for your metabolism. Okay. I mean, the metabolism is, I always think of the metabolism like a furnace. And when your furnace is fueled and it's working, then it burns, it's going to burn the fuel properly. Which is then helps us to detoxify. These feet don't have to go to the floor. Okay. Don't stress if your toes don't touch the mat. And I'm leaving you in charge of this. So you're in charge of your own body. You know when your plow is talking to you and telling you that it's had enough. But I like to remind myself all the way through this what's going on in these legs, because when I get tired in these, my knees start to collapse. So then I lose what I call like the authenticity of the pose. Now we'll do a couple, so don't feel like this first one that we've just done is your last one and your only one. Can I suggest that when you come out of it that you try and use your core a little bit, and can you very slowly try and release each of the vertebrae back into the mat, again in your own time when you come out. Again, obviously long legs coming out of it means a tougher gig for the abs. And rest whenever you choose to come out of any of those versions. So rest has been long legs into like a mini shavasana, and just allowing the body to literally restore and You might, if you're going to go into a second one, do this one without any hands holding if you feel like the weight of the legs are enough to counteract the trunk's weight. And then let your body tell you when it's ready to go in for a second one. Again, second one of any variation. So I don't mind. So maybe in the second one, you know what, I want to take my leg wide. I still want to hold on to my lower back, but I want to go into like a bit of a V with my legs. Or I want to choose to have one leg down and maybe one leg going up. Because like a split, like a half, what I call it, like a half-half. Half plow, half shoulder stand. You might want to just pick mastering plow or a version of it. You could even use your wall. So I know some people like to use the a bit of momentum from the wall, which is just as good a way of getting over rather than trying to hoist yourself over. Again, being a held pose, we want to make sure that we're not holding our breath. We can reconnect into that really nice, slow, sort of rhythmical, steady, even breath here. And then whichever version that you choose to be in, can you, again, still use your belly to bring you out of it when you choose to come out. Can you come out of it with the same slowness, perhaps, as you went into it? And both these poses are also called inversions. So inversion is when we do a pose where their head is lower than the heart. And inverted poses are always very calming poses as well. Last one, if you want to take shoulder stand, which starts off in plow, but then it sends the legs up there towards the ceiling. And if that feels right for you, you want to hold the rim of the pelvis, because otherwise we drop out of it. Or you can go into your plow, or your variations of plows. Again, you can see the chin and the chest getting really close to each other, so all that sort of action happening here into the thyroid, that gentle pressure and massaging effect on the thyroid glands. When you choose to come out of this, when I'm going to straight away into Shavasana. So that means a little bit of stillness for the next 4 or 5 minutes. Now that means putting another layer on. It means putting your socks or your jacket. You've got a little eye pillow, a lavender pillow. You can use that too. If you have a bolster, That might go underneath the backs of the legs. But remember, when you're here, it's going to be stillness, so you're going to get cold. Back to re-invite that breath that we started class with. So very slow, very smooth, even, steady breath. Very soothing, very comforting. Noticing how the breath starts to slow down, begins to slow your heartbeat. And how the breath affects the nervous system. Feel the body just letting go on the exhale. Maybe you even notice how the body just drops and sinks into the mat. It's almost like it melts down and into the mat. Letting go. Feeling the whole body soften. You might start to bring your awareness very, very slowly back here. We always do that by creating a little more movement, perhaps moving through the feet, the toes, even the fingers. Can you do a little bit of alertness or awareness back into the body? Find a sign that feels right to rest on. Just curl over and sort of snuggle in, like you're lying in bed or curled up. And then as you gently bring your way up into sitting, just use your hands, roll up slowly. Always keep the gaze nice and low, just to keep the brain still very relaxed. So when we throw the head back, there's alertness. When we allow the head to soften and tip forward, there's still a quietness that we can create in the mind. And when we bring the hands to the heart center, this is how we close class and how we honour our practice. So we're honouring our practice, we're honouring both you and I, honouring what we call the divine light in each of us. Let's finish class together with Namaste. Namaste. First official class in the studio.
back at the headquarters, hey?
That's right.
So we're signing off for all our little people who are watching us live in the comfort and the warmth of your own home. Take care.